So everything has been created by God. Even Satan. Why would God create Satan? Because we have a free will. If there is no Satan, if there is no evil, then you have no free will. You have no choice. You have to follow God. And God designed us with the free will, with the freedom to make our own choices. And with those choices come consequences. And one thing about George Jr. that impresses me is they are really trying to get these young men to understand your decisions have consequences. What's a DS, Vince? Disciplinary system. You probably remember that all too well. I was going through some paperwork at the desk last night. Sometimes it's just sitting there. And they're trying to get these kids to understand that my choices matter. That when I make bad choices in here, I'm going to get a DS. And if you get enough of those, you're really in a lot of trouble. And if you make good choices, then good things happen. A couple of weeks ago, I had a rough first hour. Had to call the supervisors 2 times within 1 hour. One boy in particular, who had just come from special needs, was in the cottage. He'd only been there a couple of days. He was testing the waters. Because he was used to things in the needs units, which are different than in the cottages. He was testing the waters. Well, he saw that I'm not playing games. The next morning he came out and he says, I want to apologize for last night. I'm sorry. And he shook my hand.
Well, that's nice.
So I told the relief staff, and I also told the CPs, the counselor parents, they need to know that this kid made a choice to right a wrong, to apologize to me. And the counselor parent said, well, he said he did nothing wrong. And I says, if he does nothing wrong, why is he apologizing? That makes no sense. And you ever notice, Vince, the kids that speak the loudest, I didn't do anything, are the ones that are guilty.
They never do anything. You know,
No, I didn't do anything.
They can't understand why they're there.
I'm glad I don't know why they're there, really. Yes.
Yeah, I work at a drug and alcohol rehab center, and I work with women, and they'll push you because they're manipulators. And I tell them that you got the same thing with you saying, you know, you made wrong choices. You have an opportunity to be in here to make the right choices. And I work at Turning Point. They used to have a different symbol. Now they got a butterfly. So I told them, you know, butterfly comes from a caterpillar. It's low on the ground, crawls on the ground. I said, a lot of society thinks you young ladies aren't worth anything. You're lower than anything. I said, with my higher power, I'll take what society throws away and use for his greater good. I said, so what you got to look at is right now, you're a caterpillar when you came in here. You're now in your cocoon.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have that metamorphosis and turn into a butterfly. And you can fly away and do anything you want to do. So you got to look at it that way. This is what you're here for. This is where you work. This is what you can have. But they will try pushing you.
The sad thing is that some kids just never get it.
No.
They just never get it. Some kids end up back there. Some kids end up in jail. Some kids end up dead on the street. I hear stories of CPs will get word that one of the kids that they had a couple years ago got shot on the street. You just never learn.
They have to learn early, and
Yeah.
it's not taught at home. When I first started working with special needs kids, and we had to take all these courses and classes, I thought, you know, this is nothing new. This is how you raise children. Whatever you do wrong, there's a consequence. That's how I raised my kids. It's simple. But if you're not taught that from the beginning, and we had some kids that got away with not murder, but close to it.
Then you see other kids that leave George Jr. and go to college
Yeah.
and make something positive out of their lives. And if you're reaching some, then you're doing something good. You're not going to reach them all. That's just the nature of human beings. Some just never get it.
You never know. We had one.
Well, you never know. Yeah,
We
true.
had a foster child or girl that wore black hair, black makeup, black clothes. And we thought we never made any headway with her. And she went shopping one day and she came home with everything pink. Pink coat, pink clothes. She went from the dark to the light.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think most of them, I don't know how you feel this way or not, but I think most of them are very intelligent. The alcoholics and the addicts. They know how to manipulate people.
And it-
Yeah.
They're street smart.
Yeah.
They know how to survive on the streets.
Yeah.
Academically, sometimes they're not that smart.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. They know how to manipulate. And you just can't give an inch. You gotta be consistent. Just don't let them get away with it. Because if I would have ignored them that night, things would have gotten worse. It would have gotten worse. And I talked to the CP last night, and he said, the last few weeks, things have been very good in here at night.
We used to call it, sometimes you have to show them who's who in the zoo.
Yeah.
And as far as the night staff is concerned, they get out of hand. I'm going to call for supervisor backup, let them deal with it. They're being paid a lot more than I'm being paid.
When I taught school, I have do's and don'ts, and not what you're not allowed to do, and then consequences. If you break these rules, these are the rules, you break these rules, here's the consequences. So I told them, when you get a consequence, don't blame me, you broke the rule.
Right.
So don't look at me, I'm not gonna scream, I'm not gonna yell, but you're gonna get a consequence. And that's all I did.
The one night I went back and I said to the kid who had given me the trouble the night before, I says, this is your last warning. If you talk, I'm calling the supervisor. He said, go ahead and call the supervisor. Well, the counselor parents were still away, still out. She was. He was back in the apartment. I told her. She called for her husband to come out. She says, tell him what that kid just... Well, he went back there, eyes ablaze. He says, that's 20 days DS right now. Don't you dare disrespect this man who's in here to help you. This nice man who's in here, don't you dare say that.
Nice.
20 days DS.
What's that?
Discipline system.
Oh.
They're being very closely monitored. Their mistakes are really limited. And you do things like that, it gets even worse.
It sets you back on your progress. That's 20 more days you have to
20
be
more
there.
days. Okay.
So if a kid goes through the program and never has a DS, he can finish in less than a year. But a lot of them take a lot longer than a year because they just don't learn.
Slow learners.
So yeah, so that's you're going backwards. In other words, you're not moving forwards. What I don't understand is you get level 3s and level 4s, which are farther along in the program, they sometimes will get a DS. Well, you're getting close to getting out. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Usually it's your level 1s, the kids that first come in that are doing most of that. Sometimes the higher ups, but usually by then they've learned. And I see it's time to stop here.
Praise the Lord.
There's a way to stop.
Yeah.